Hello, one and all. You've reached Step Ahead with Ernie Rivera. I am your host, Ernie Rivera. Let's talk about some stuff today. Okay, this is gonna be a real controversial video, but I hope you stay with me, and I hope to deliver you a lot of value in this video. Now, the topic of this video is artists. Why are artists poor, and why you don't have to be. Now, at this time, you might be saying to yourself, "But Ernie, I know lots of artists, and they're doing really, really well for themselves." Okay, fair enough, fair enough. I agree that definitely happens, but in my personal experience, that seems to be more the exception than the rule, because there are tons of artists in this world. Not all of them are doing as well as they could be, and of course, I am speaking in broad, sweeping generalities here. So, how do we address this problem? Firstly, I'd like to talk about The Richest Man in Babylon, a very amazing book. Very briefly, just to hit on a certain note here. So, at the beginning of the book, it tells the story of this man living in ancient Babylon. He's very upset because he had a dream one day that he was a very rich man when in reality he wasn't, and it kind of teased him. It gave him promises of things that he could have, but then reality didn't. Now his friend starts talking to him, and this man, he made a living, but he was barely getting by. He was a master chariot builder, or he might have made chariot wheels, whatever, but he had something to do with chariots. He was manufacturing chariots, and his friend said, "Hey man, you went to school and you swore to yourself that you would be the best chariot builder in the world, right? And you worked really, really hard at that. So, are you a good chariot builder?" And he said, "Yeah, I'm a good chariot builder. I build great chariots." And the guy said, "Okay, you worked hard your whole life to learn how to build chariots, and as a result, you built excellent chariots. Now, how long did you spend learning how to acquire wealth?" And the truth is, the man never really spent any time learning how to acquire wealth. He assumed that by becoming a very, very good chariot builder, he would have wealth, and that was not the case, because he was still living day to day, paycheck to paycheck, loaf of bread to loaf of bread. It made him think. He's like, perhaps you're right. I studied my whole life learning how to build chariots, and I build the best chariots, but I didn't spend any time learning how to build wealth, and as a result, I guess I have no real wealth to speak of. So what are we going to do about that? I think you can all see the correlations between this master chariot builder and master artists who wish to make a good living in this world. Now, firstly, I'm going to talk about how one starts to acquire income. Then I'm going to talk about why certain artists are not some simple mistakes that they're making. And lastly, I'm going to give some practical advice on things they could be doing which could improve their financial status, which in turn could make them more relaxed and make them better artists. So let's talk about that, shall we? Now, what is money? Money can be described in a number of different ways, but the way I like to see it, it's a promise. It's a promise of value. You trade something, and in return, they give you this promise saying that you gave them this much value. That might offend some people, understandably, but the fact is, offering value in this world is a way to build an income. Now, why is it that some people are, unloading boxes for minimum money, and some people are starring in Hollywood movies, or they're in the NFL or whatever, and they're bringing in lots and lots and lots of promises. Well, let me talk about that real quick. So, it's not enough to bring in value. Your value has to be rare. The rarer of a skill you have, the more value you can put out in the world. Let me explain what I mean by that. Now, in my life, I've unloaded boxes, and the fact is, it's not hard to find someone who can unload a box. So they're going to have lots of people to choose from, and as a result, it's not quite as valuable to the company to have someone like that. Um, it is what it is, you know. Now let's look at someone who's in the NFL. The NFL, let's take any football player really. I'm not big into sports, but you know, it could be a movie star or whatever. They're doing something that really very few people can do. They're performing a basic skill at a very high level where not many can reach, and as a result, they bring in people who want to see that. Lots of people want to see that. On top of that, they bring in advertisers, and advertisers are paying them lots of money because of what they can do and how rare it is. Now the reason they're paying them money is because these advertisers are trying to get their product in front of a large audience, which the football players bring in. And all of a sudden, they have a large audience viewing their product. More people are willing to buy their product. A lot more people are willing to buy their product. And as a result, they have to manufacture a lot more. They create more jobs. They create a lot more jobs, a lot more employment, because they have to manufacture, they have to ship, they have to do this, and they have to do that. And that's a lot of people affected based on what this one football player can do. Now let me talk about artists. Growing up in Southern California, I've seen certain artists that are really amazing, just spectacular, and they are not doing well for themselves. And there's reasons for that, but part of the reason is that they are doing something in a market that's oversaturated. People are willing to step in and replace them every second, and as a result, it's very hard. It's very difficult to find work because of how replaceable some of these people are. Now, at the very top levels, these people are a lot less replaceable because certain people will go to see their movies, and it's just because they're in it, and that will create value because people are paying money for these tickets. They're going to see the product placement. Well, that's not why they're going to see it, but they in turn see product placement, which sells more products, which creates more jobs. Again, shipping, manufacturing, all this is interconnected. Now, what can we do? What can we do? Well, firstly, I'm going to talk about just a couple more things I've noticed in the artist community. Now, a lot of these artists, they try to justify their position in this world sometimes by going to private schools, you know, very elite schools. Now, I've done this myself. I didn't know that's what I was doing at the time, but it's something I did, and I was offered a lot of value in education, but at the same time, I didn't realize how oversaturated the market was. You know, it's hard to think about these things when you're so young, but the point is, you're strapping yourself down for the most part with a lot of student debt, and that student debt creates high overhead. That means that each month when you graduate, you're going to be paying more bills and more bills and more bills, which leaves even less money aside for you to invest or to do any of the things that you could possibly do with it, including create art of your own. If you do not have all these student loans, guess what you can do? You can put aside money, put aside money, put aside money until you can create your own movie or your own one-man show or your own something with the money that you've saved up by not having high student debt, by not having the newest car. Speaking of cars, by the way, don't ever get a new car. If you want to get a new car, get a car that's about 3 years old. That's when most of its depreciation is done. So you're going to be saving a lot of money on that. But yeah, drive a clunker, drive whatever you need. Drive a safe car, but you know, drive something that's not expensive or what have you, so that you can keep on putting money aside for the things that are really important to you. In your case, your art. Now, let's talk about some of the things, some of the positive things artists can be doing to start building wealth and in turn creating a safer environment for themselves so that they can create more art, which is their life's purpose. I'm not trying to drive anyone away from doing art. I'm not trying to say that by saying that the market's oversaturated, by saying that a lot of times it doesn't pay well because it's oversaturated. What I am saying is if you want to do it, you go do it. But save, create these financial safety nets for yourself by adding value into the world, by figuring out how to save up your money, so that you are safe to create more art without having to think about working at a burger place for minimum wage just to pay your student loans. All right. Enough with the negativity. Let's get into some positive steps, some things you can do right now in order to start building your wealth so that you can have a positive experience in the arts. Now, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to save 10% to 20% of every single one of our paychecks. Now, you're thinking to yourself, but I could barely survive right now. And that may be true. That may be true. But the fact is, 10% is not that much. I think you could scrimp, you could save, you could stop smoking or drinking or doing whatever you're doing, Starbucks or something, in order to save 10% of your money from each paycheck. Put it into a high yield savings account. Very, very safe, FDIC insured, and you can get 1% or 2% a year, so that's not bad, depending on the high yield savings account. Now, what you're going to do if you absolutely cannot save 10% is you're going to get your side hustle on. Now, a lot of you who are artists during the day who need your day hours to go to auditions, to meet with people, to do this and that, guess what? You're going to be working at night. You don't like it? Fair enough. Find something you can do to offer value and get an online job. For instance, start an Etsy store, or maybe you can create necklaces, or maybe you can create websites or something. You all have skills out there, something just in order to add a little extra value into the universe so that you get just a little bit more return each month so that you can save your 10%. When you're saving your 10%, remember this: the first thing that money is going to go towards, it's not going to be your payments, it's not going to be this, it's not going to be that. You're going to save a $1,000 safety net, just for peace of mind, so that if your car breaks down, you don't need to put it on a credit card, which is high interest, which is not going to do you well. So again, these next steps are coming from Dave Ramsey. These are Dave Ramsey's baby steps. I highly recommend you read his book, The Total Money Makeover. Now, save $1,000 just to have a little peace of mind safety net, and that's not for when you're hungry and the pizza guy's there and you don't have any spare cash. It's not for oh well, I need a new shirt. It's to save. It's to save just in case there's a serious emergency. $1,000 is not much, but it will give you a little peace of mind. After that, you're going to start working on paying down all your debts as much as you can with the remaining 80 to 90% of your income. Now, of course, this is after you're paying your rent and whatnot, but you're gonna pay down first these high interest credit cards that are not doing you any favors, because guess what? You're paying hundreds of extra dollars a month. Hundreds of extra dollars. What if I just gave you $500? Would you take it? Yeah, you'd probably take it, but you know what? You're wasting $500 a month on all these high interest credit cards. So don't do it. Pay them off as quickly as you can. Dave Ramsey suggests that you pay them off in the order of smallest debt to largest debt. That way you just start wiping them off the map, and that's a pretty good strategy. I like that strategy. After you do that, after you paid off a good amount of your debts, after you're basically just paying for rent and food afterwards, what you're going to do is you're going to save up a real emergency fund of about 3 months to 6 months. And why do you want to save up 3 months to 6 months of money? It can be very hard. It might take you a year or two. So the reason you're doing this The reason you're doing this is in case there's a real honest to God emergency, like you lost your job, or there's medical bills, or there's something like that, and you just cannot pay it. So you have that little safety net, so that the money that's going to be making you money is not being affected. Now, after you've done this, after you've saved up your 3 to 6 months, what you're going to do is excuse me. What you're going to do is you're going to be investing that money. Now, I can't tell you what to invest in. I'm not a financial professional, but there are a number of avenues out there, and I suggest you look into them, from index funds, like a piece of the S&P 500, which you can look up very easily. There are a lot of YouTube videos about stuff like this, or peer-to-peer lending. I, for instance, I've been making for the past 4 years or so about 11% interest, or not interest. I've been getting an 11% return on my money that I've been lending to people through peer-to-peer lending sites like LendingTree. Some of you may not know what percentages are good. 11%. They say that the market, if you're well diversified in the market, if you have a lot of different types of stocks, or if you have a good index fund, you can expect a return on average over the course of years, roughly 7%. So I was making 11 over the course of about 4 years. Pretty good. Now again, I'm not a financial professional. I cannot recommend you, but I suggest perhaps you just do your due diligence and look into peer-to-peer lending, look into the stock market, look into more savings and more high yield savings accounts if you want to play it safe. But I would not recommend that for the majority of your money, because the money's supposed to be building money. Now the point is, and he does have more baby steps, but I'm not going to cover those. The point is that once you really start saving up some money, you are relaxed. You do not have to work these jobs that you do not need to work, and you have more time to create your art. You all of a sudden are paying yourself to do your art, and you can afford to. You can afford to create your movie, or your one-man show, or one-woman show, or whatever kind of show. You can create art, and again, in time, that art, especially if you don't need the money, can start bringing you back a return, especially if you find an audience through something like YouTube, or a podcast, or any number of venues out there. Now, I am running out of time, so lastly, I'll just leave you with this. Paying off your debt. Pretty much all debt, especially medical debt, can be negotiated down for a fraction of the price. Now, I will cover this in a future video. If you are interested, leave your comments in the comment section there, and I will try my best to cover it. I hope this video has been good. I hope you have been given a little value in this video, and I hope it is giving you some new perspective, so that perhaps you can approach your art in a different way, so that you're safer, you're protected, and you can create more and more and more art. I really thank you for watching this video. I do ask that you like and subscribe, hit that like button, hit the notification bell, so that you get the new videos as soon as they come out. I do thank you. I wish you all the best. Have a good day. Go make some art. Go make some art. Bye.